if I had to pick a top 5, wrestling, Muay Thai, boxing, Jiu Jitsu. Actually, maybe it's just 4. Maybe I just need 4. Wrestling, Jiu Jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing.
In the middle of stretching, he made us put our backs to each other. And
All right.
Came around,
Yeah.
grabbed both of our heads, and just slammed it together.
Why?
Apparently, I asked the same question. And he says, well, it's for it to
Oh my
toughen
God.
up.
Here's my issue with Kung Fu.
Okay.
My issue with Kung Fu is I have never seen it practically work aside from compliant partners.
All right. And for our most deadliest martial arts, according to this list, is Capoeira.
All right, the only thing I know about this
The
one is
Jamaicans.
like,
Welcome to episode 3.
what's different today?
Well, we did podcasts for the first 2 episodes. I say we changed. I mean, this channel, I guess we want to do mainly podcasts, but we want to mix in some stuff like reaction and ranking videos.
Yeah.
So let's do our first reaction video for this one.
What are we reacting to?
Well, we are both expert. We have experiences in martial arts. So I say we watch some martial arts videos.
Yeah. So my background in martial arts is I am now close to 8 years in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
Okay.
Started off with Taekwondo, and then I did Taekwondo in like middle school.
Okay.
So 4 or 5 years, I did 1 month in Muay Thai, then 1 day or 1 week in boxing. Then I went to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So, I mean, striking was fun, but I don't know. Like some things click. Striking never really clicked to me as much as grappling.
So you enjoy Jiu Jitsu the most out of everything you've done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Jiu Jitsu has always been more consistent for me. What about you?
Well, let's see. I've also did Taekwondo, only for 1 day in my life. Funny story behind that is I did it in Texas when I was like 12 or maybe 13 years old.
Yeah.
The reason why I only did it for a day was because during that session, the sensei made us partner up with random students, and the one student that I got partnered up with, the sensei in the middle of stretching, he made us put our backs to each other. And
All right.
Came around, grabbed both of our heads, and just slammed it together.
Why?
Apparently, I asked the same question. And he says, "Well, it's for it to."
Oh my God,
up.
that is not the way. No, because especially the back of the head, it's a very sensitive area. So if you do a concussion, it's not the same as the front or the side. Like, yeah, they're both bad, but then like the back is just different.
Yeah. So I mean, at 12 years old, I'm like, what am I getting myself into? Kind of thing. So,
no, that was just a bad school. That's just, I mean, especially when you're 12.
So, it was Texas, so I'm sure it wasn't everything done by the book kind of thing.
I mean, maybe everything's different in Texas.
Could be.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do Taekwondo. So what I ended up picking up was martial arts called Shorinji Kempo. It's a Japanese martial arts derived from Shaolin Kung Fu.
Okay.
It's where it comes from, but it's a Japanese martial arts.
Right.
That it's relatively new. I think it was founded in early 1900s, right around World War II.
Yeah.
The founder went to China, studied Shaolin Kung Fu there.
Okay.
Decided to bring it back to Japan and wanted to teach all the young disciples after war to learn something to rebuild themselves, kind of thing, because there's a rebuilding period.
Kempo is a Japanese martial art.
Correct.
Is that similar to karate, or is there big enough differences to be its own art?
Yeah, big enough difference for its own art, kind of thing. Like I said, it comes from Shaolin Kung Fu.
Yeah.
It has a lot of grappling techniques as well.
Okay, I see.
Hard and soft techniques, and then a lot of philosophy in it too that we learned. The responsibility of having strength.
Oh, I get it. So, I mean, okay. So I think if you did 8 years, I did 7 years, we have close to 15 years of experience in different domains. So I think we'll watch some videos, kind of give our inputs to see how it goes. And then,
well, I mean, we could just react to it and see,
that's true
how
too.
we think it's, viable or not, or, interesting stuff like that. So I guess, you just want to watch a video and see how it goes from there.
Yeah. So let's see. Our first video is, okay, I already see how this one's going to end. MMA versus Tai Chi.
Okay. Well, what do you think about Tai Chi, I guess, to begin with? Like,
isn't Tai Chi, that's not martial art, right? I never thought Tai Chi was a martial art. Isn't it something they do for the elderly for exercise and stretching?
Well, that's the practical use out of it, but it is a martial arts.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, I know very basics about it, but isn't it about, your chakra and controlling your chi, I guess, the Tai Chi part?
So I'm not too familiar with Tai Chi, but from what I've seen and what I've read is that it's more practically used as an exercise for the elders. As far as how it's applied in martial art or in a violent settings, I have no clue.
Okay, so we're gonna see.
We're gonna see
Tai Chi guy own it up since it's a viable martial art.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, let's play. See what happens. So I'm assuming the guy on the right is the Tai Chi guy.
Yeah, left MMA, right Tai Chi. Yeah, the left has MMA like gear on.
All right. So looks like he's in a stance, a Tai Chi stance, where his hands are.
And that's a Tai Chi stance?
Well, you have your hands out to keep the distance or the gauge the distance, I'm assuming. But he's not going to be able to strike. Okay.
Yep. This ends exactly the way I thought it would end. Yep. Okay. It's exactly how I thought it would end.
Right. So, I mean, in martial arts, what is the one thing that you don't want to get? I guess, what one thing that you want to avoid?
If I'm in a violent setting, I do not want the guy to be on top of me.
Right. You don't want to be taken to the ground.
I do not want to be. And even in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where you go to the ground, yes, in the sport of Jiu-Jitsu is different, right? But if we're talking about fighting, I would not want to be the guy in the bottom.
Yeah.
And it's not the place to be.
Right.
So
yeah, obviously, I mean, I don't know if there's any more beyond this kind of Tai Chi, or if this guy's legit and then he just got caught off guard in this MMA fighting, but clearly doesn't look
yeah, I mean, he got knocked the first second, right, where he got hit, and then from there it was that MMA guy just kept on barraging him with punches, and he just took him to the ground. He was just brute force that guy.
Right. Let's just go back and rewatch, I guess, the transgression of this fight, but I mean, yeah, you can tell that MMA, he's like, moving around, right, trying to get, punches in, and the other guy's just like...
Yep. It's just... And, I always say that the way that the MMA guy moves, it's more natural than how you would see in a street fight.
Because even in Shorinji Kempo, when I tried to use it in... I mean, I've never been in a fight, outside, practicing, but if I was to imagine myself... I would change the style of fighting. It wouldn't be I wouldn't be using techniques from the style just because it's very situational, and you just can't. I agree. You can't read what the other guy's trying to do. So I mean, it's mainly just not trying to be taken to the ground, because once you're on the ground, and the guy's on top of you, you pretty much lost control of the fight. So
and even Jiu-Jitsu, we specialize on ground fighting, but I would not want to be on my back with the guy, whether he's what we call the guard in Jiu-Jitsu, whether he's in my guard or not, I would still not want him to be on top, because there's a lot of unknown variables, right? It's not that the ground itself is dangerous, but you don't know if there will be another one of his friends, or if there's some kind of evolving threat that you need to be on your feet for. So there's a lot of reasons why you should be on your feet. You should be the guy on top, not the guy on bottom. Yeah. So, I mean, this one is straightforward. I knew how this one.
I mean, Tai Chi, like you said, it's elderly martial arts where it's more of an exercise. But I mean, from the little that I did try to look into it, I guess it's more spiritual kind of thing.
It's one of those.
Yeah. It's like, what's another martial arts it's similar to that, where it's more for the show and more instead of like practical kind of.
There's so many. Yeah. There's so many out there. I feel like all the Chinese martial arts are like that.
Yeah, let's go to another video.
Aikido versus... All right. So this one, I'm a little biased just because I'm slightly familiar with Aikido. From my memory, Aikido was actually... It's split away from, I believe it was either Japanese Jiu-Jitsu or Japanese Judo. I forget which one it split away from. But the whole idea with Aikido was... they have a lot more, how should I say this, spiritual lessons in there. Okay. And they focus a lot on the wrist. Now, I'm pretty sure people will correct me, and there are some other things, but if you were to take one guess what Aikido is just on top of your head, it would be the wrist control. They always do the throws with the wrists where they're spinning them around.
Yeah, I mean, Steven Seagal comes to my mind, Aikido, right? And he's the most famous guy that's out there that says that practice Aikido. And every time he showcases anything, it's very small movements, but the person that's having the move taken on the move as if, the world would just hit him kind of thing. And I just don't know if that's true in a sense. Well,
I'm biased. I say no, but let's watch this.
Right, so this is a
clip.
Turkish wrestler versus Aikido user. All right. So is this the Turkish wrestler?
Yeah. So the Aikido is the one on the right.
Gotcha.
Turkish wrestler in the orange shirt.
All right. Let's see how this plays out. I mean, at first glance, he looks like he's not, a martial artist.
Yeah.
Just by watching, or a wrestler at that. But I'm assuming by the video title, this is going to go in favor of the wrestler. Just because.
Yeah. It's.
Okay. Formality.
I think he wants, the Aikido master wants him to try.
So was the Aikido guy there trying to not be taken to the ground, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's Aikido stance where they have their hand out like that. Yep.
Right. So is there striking in Aikido, or is
no, not to my knowledge. I think it's purely grappling, really.
Yeah, he's getting tossed around like, okay.
Yep. There's an armbar.
And are these his students that are clapping?
Yeah. Wow. I think he's doing I think he pretty much brought a guest, like a seminar, like kind of showcase
that.
Like different martial arts, or maybe to try out. But, this went exactly how I thought it would be is, the Aikido guy has his hand out, right? Because this is their way of gauging the distance to control. I'm pretty sure he wanted to try to get wrist control on the wrestler, but a good wrestler knows that wrestling is a lot of full body contact. Yeah. Like there's a lot of movements. It's very dynamic, and that's why if you look at collegiate wrestling, freestyle wrestling, Greco-Roman like wrestling, there's some tough motherfuckers. Mm-hmm. They're so strong. Like I've rolled with some guys who are my weight 155 wrestlers. Dude, they're built like a brick, and they have stamina that makes you go like, they don't quit. That's one thing that I wish I did wrestling in high school, because it's some next level mental game. Like they just know how to grind it out. So I'm not surprised. I think Aikido has a lot of issues, and my main issue with Aikido is too many compliant partners, meaning that I think a good martial art should have three things. The first one is you need to be able to train your techniques against resisting opponent, someone who does not want you to do it. The second thing is it needs to be trainable to a large degree, meaning if you could only do that technique once, like eye gouging, you're not going to be able to practice it consistently.
I mean, you're not going to be fully be able to practice that. Who's going to want their eye gouging?
Exactly. So when people say, well, this technique is too dangerous, I'm like, well, you only get better by repetition. So you need to constantly do things to get better and optimize. Right. And the third thing I think is really important is you need a large number of training partners. Because if you only train with your one friend, it's not going to be the same when you have 30 or 40. Exactly. Because everybody reacts differently. Everyone has a different body movement. So I don't know too much about Aikido. I had one or two guys and they're okay. I mean, they weren't bad, but it's like it definitely needs to be complemented with a second or third martial art. That's for sure.
So you would say things like Judo is defindy.
I pick Judo over Aikido. Yeah. 100%.
Even though both of them don't have striking in it, but Judo just seems more.
Judo is more aggressive, and Judo just when they grab you, dude. Judo is like I put Judo at the same level as wrestlers. Yeah, they're both tough. Like
the center of gravity is what makes a difference in wrestling and Judo versus Aikido. I feel like the center of gravity is completely different in those two styles.
Aikido, from what I've seen, it looks like they are reacting. They're going, if you're going forward, they'll pull you forward to throw you off balance. Yeah. While Judo, that could be the case, but they can also make you react to their moves, So.
Yeah. So Shorinji Kempo, the martial arts that I did, was more of a reactionary kind of techniques. So
oh, I see.
you allow your opponent to try and do something on you, and you react to that movement. It's more of a defensive technique. So you never do anything aggressive or,
So you guys are never the first one to strike.
That's the philosophy behind it, because it's supposed to be a last resort kind of technique.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be the person that's, aggressing or,
I feel like preemptive striking is a good way to be defensive.
It is. So we don't do preemptive striking, but our initial defensive strike back is usually a eye attack or a groin attack.
Yeah. So
to just stop your opponent in the tracks and then
just kind of like stop them.
Yeah. Because you want their aggression or their momentum.
Yeah, you don't want it to keep escalating, so you want to stop it.
All right. So Aikido is no good against wrestling. All right, next one.
Aikido versus box. All right, this one should be interesting.
Right,
so
Aikido.
I mean, just by looking at this, I don't know if he's an actual boxer, but we'll see.
The guy on the left is the boxer. Well, I mean,
left is a boxer.
The guy on the right is wearing
right
a gi,
looks like he looks like the Aikido guy.
All right,
so we'll see.
But this is strikes versus non-striking. So.
Yeah.
That's all you can do is just put his hand out, right?
All right. I feel like, okay.
So he let him do that just so he can get a win in, I guess, but.
Okay. I already have problems with this video. My first comment is the guy is a boxer.
But he's not really
pulling his punches.
He is.
Yeah.
Because this is a demonstration, obviously.
Yeah.
Where he's just trying to, but you can see that the Aikido style is just very ineffective. All he can do is just gauge his distance and just try to grab his hand, but that never happens in a street fight.
Well, and this goes back to that problem where you need to train against people who actually want to hurt you.
Right.
So I mean, let's finish this video, but.
Now he's like telling him how to properly attack me so I can do my technique.
Yeah, see, that's my problem. But
what did that do? I mean,
I don't know. I guess the boxer he was feinting a jab or something, and the Aikido guy grabbed him.
Right, but it looks like the Aikido guy was asking him to do that punch so I can finally grab it, not randomized attacks where he can be that effective against.
Yeah, see
and then a boxer too,
the boxer's pulling his punches.
He's pulling his punches, and
because he has many opportunities where he could have jabbed him in the face.
Yeah.
And the Aikido guy would not be able to grab him.
So do you think this was a video to make the Aikido guy look a little bit better than he was?
Well, I mean, without just on first glance, it could either be a demonstration to show why Aikido is good.
Yeah. Or
maybe it's just a video to show that, hey, this is how he would spar against other martial artists.
Yeah.
So, but it goes back to that. It's the same problem I've been saying. It only works if someone wants to hurt you and you can actually pull it off. He did not pull it off against someone who actually wants to hurt him, or at least a resisting opponent.
Right.
So
do you think, or do you say a lot of martial arts is fake out there? I guess in a sense.
I think that the tried and true are the ones that made it to the MMA to a large degree. So on top of my list, kickboxing, Muay Thai, regular boxing, Jiu Jitsu, wrestling,
karate,
maybe judo. I think some aspects of judo, like Ronda Rousey, she was able to pull off or integrate judo into her fighting skills. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are more martial arts out there, but those seems to be the tried and true ones, right? And it's just all of those disciplines, they have a large number of training pool. They have resisting opponents, and you could do it a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key thing.
If you were to train in one, what would you say is the most effective or practical, I guess?
Train in one.
In real life situations. Like, would you say jiu-jitsu, wrestling? Since, when you get taken to the ground, that's like the most vulnerable state that you want to Because that's one thing in Shorinji Kempo that I wanted more so is what if a guy tried to take me to the ground? I wanted more techniques on how to avoid that or get out of those situations.
If I had to pick one, it would be wrestling. My reason being is that wrestlers, their whole aim of the game is to take the other guy down, pin their shoulders to the mat. Without letting their opponents do the same.
Right.
Now, of course, people will say, well, there's no submission, there's no chokes, you can't finish the fight. But all I'm saying is, if you have the ability at any time to take down that guy, keep him pinned, you're going to be in a lot better position than someone who cannot be on their feet. So if a wrestler can take a boxer or Muay Thai at will to the ground anytime, you neutralize them because they cannot fight. Like, I don't care if they can punch you from the ground. It's not going to be anywhere near as devastating as when they punch you when they're standing on their feet. You know? Now, I can say the same thing with Jiu Jitsu or Judo, where Jiu Jitsu is good on the ground, but Jiu Jitsu's main hole is not many schools teach them takedowns and stand up because it's not a very sexy selling point because it's hard and people it's a hobby for most people. And I think Judo, I can actually say maybe Judo is on the same level as wrestling. But specifically for United States, there's not many Judo schools out there. So I actually wanted to try Judo, but man, if I wanted to go to an actual Judo school, I would have to go all the way out in downtown Los Angeles.
Wow.
And there's one nearby Long Beach, but they only do twice a week.
Why is it so less, gyms for those when it's one of the more popular Olympic sports for martial arts?
From the theories I've heard, it's not a good
selling point, or it's just not sexy, I guess.
I think part of the reasons is one, it's very non-profit. I think that's number one. Or it could also be a lack of funding from like the US, whatever their organization may be. But I think the third reason is just there's not a demand for adult memberships, because in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you have kids signing up, you have parents signing up because it's fun and you get to grapple and you get to, it's enjoyable.
It's expensive too, though. Right? Those things.
And those instructors can make money off of it. So if you're paying $200 and let's say $125 for student, that's great because you can make a living off of it. But if Judo cannot make a living off of it, there's no business. And who wants to quit their job or whatever they do to open a school where maybe there's some students and maybe there's not? You
don't want to take that risk for it. All right, let's go on to the next video. This one is titled Bullshido, which I'm assuming bullshit, martial arts kind of stuff. So, and then there's a lot out there. So
I can already tell this is one of those.
Expectation versus reality is the title. All right, she's in a chokehold. Grabbing arm, she's saying no. Pulling down the arm, also no. Okay. Don't know if that works.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, let's see. Okay,
that's one of those memes.
Got it.
No, if someone is standing up and they're in a rear naked choke like that, no one is going to let you move like that.
Exactly, because when they're choking you out, no one's going to. Yeah, when they're choking you out, you are on the verge of passing out because you have no oxygen coming to your head. And for you to have this time to, I don't know what she did. She did like a windmill kind of motion, put her left arm and then wrapped around his arm. But even doing that, he's in a better grip than you. Like, he's not going to loosen up anything. Yeah. He's letting her move. Right. And if someone has a strong rear naked choke, like if it's fully sunk in like that, you're not going to move that way because one, the guy is not going to let you move. Right. And two, the guy has control over you, so he can literally push you forward or bring you back. Yeah. It's whoever's watching that video, don't do it. Don't get in that position. That's the number one rule. So I've had a person put me in a chokehold. Yeah. I want to see if I can get out of it. Yeah. I got choked out by a 4'11" tiny man.
Yeah, it's hard.
Because all he did was be in that position, put me in the chokehold, and just rolled my back. Yeah. And then I passed out.
No, it's hard. Yeah. People don't understand. Like, that is when you're there, like the chance of success, it's like almost 100%.
Right. And you have seconds to be able to get out of it before you're
and it's hard.
Incapacitated. So I call Bullshido on this video, just like the title says. Let's watch it one more time though, just for the the giggles of it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so they're not going to let go of their grip like that. It's just
I don't know how he lost his balance around that, but yeah, this guy, learned a hard lesson by trying to reenact that. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a Russian. Yeah, this is Russian down here.
The Russians are next level.
I mean, you've heard of what the drunken master, fighting techniques. I'm assuming this is what it's trying to imitate, kind of thing. It's a bunch of slapping going on, but I mean, all right. I don't know what this is going on, but it's this guy.
What is that?
I mean, this guy's using this in MMA, so I mean, it must be. What was his name? Bigsby or whatever. But all right, this guy. I remember this video. So this guy is saying that he can control this guy to make him kick him in the gonads by controlling him. But
oh my god!
I mean, this is all perfect situation. Like if I do this, he may react this way but not. But to teach this, I just don't understand how they can sell this kind of idea, right?
I give A for creativity. That's what I give. A for creativity.
All right, this fighting nuns. This is actually kind of interesting because the techniques they use in this is actually Shorinji Kempo techniques.
Oh, really?
Even though they're making fun of them. Well, this is karate right here, but I'll show you. Like when they do grappling and twisting their arms, this is all Kempo stuff. So this right here. This is Kempo.
Yeah.
So this is what I actually learned in Kempo, where you actually use the leverage of their elbow right there to make them flip.
Yes,
that is a Kempo technique.
Can you go back to that nun? It's the one where she was throwing them backward. Let me see.
Cartwheel. This right here, right?
No, that's actually legit. We do something similar. I mean, it's a little different, but the idea is the same. If someone is advancing towards you and you're about to reach the ground, instead of accepting it, you use the momentum against them. It's legit.
I mean, they're making fun of this since they're nuns, but the techniques is actually pretty clean from what I'm seeing.
It's not bad.
Samurai spirit.
Oh my god.
Happy
Is that Japanese or?
They're just Japanese.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know if they're trying to be funny or they're actually trying to sell this as a viable technique. I mean, let's get this video. It's just a bunch of.
I've seen too many of those Chi videos.
Right. I guess this is funny too, where a girl getting.
This.
Like, I just never understand. Like, if you're there's definitely a power difference, right, between girl and guy.
Yep.
Like when you're being attacked as a girl, you shouldn't be taught to go for the weak points right away, because the overpowering of the power from a bone structure differences kind of thing is always going to overpower you. So instead of trying to teach, maybe she went for the groin there, so that was kind of correct.
But the thing too is that I've been hit in the groin, and unless it's a legit clean shot, because especially when you're wearing jeans and other stuff, sometimes you don't hit them right where you need to.
Yeah. I mean, this is just silly. Just like
that was a bad takedown. Yeah, you don't. So one thing is like when you do a takedown, you never keep your head down.
Yeah.
Like if you look at a good wrestler, they'll keep their head up and they'll have good control. Like, that's just bad technique. That penetration shot was too shallow.
So that was my main complaint about Kempo was once you got taken to the ground, what am I supposed to do then? Like I need to learn more techniques of when I'm in a oh shit moment rather than not getting in that position to begin with. I mean, that's fine, but I can't defend it all the time. So please teach me something once I'm in that position as well. Yeah. And they just never did. So
was it because your instructor was lacking or the art itself was lacking?
I want to maybe say hopeful that was a more advanced technique that I just never learned kind of thing. Because in Kempo, so the way that the advancement structure works is, and for adults at least, it's white belt, brown belt to black belt, nothing in between.
Oh, okay.
But once you're in the black belt, there's like 9 degrees of black belts, and to get the highest one, it takes like a lifetime.
Are you a black belt?
I'm a 2nd degree black belt in Kempo, but to get to my 1st degree black belt, it took me 3 years, and then to get my 2nd degree, it took another 3 years. So so it's supposed to double each cycle.
I see what
you're saying. To get my
3rd
degree, it took me 6 years.
And then 12 years. I see. And
Correct.
ninth
so
is the highest.
Ninth's highest, and it's supposed to take a lifetime in order to get there. So whether there's techniques between the 2 and the 9 that teaches you more stuff, like more advanced techniques to get there.
I never understood why they would say, oh, this technique is... Now, they'll say this technique is too advanced for you to learn. I can understand where they will say, well, we want to teach you this once you have the basics and the fundamentals, and then we'll build upon the basics and the fundamentals, sort of like a pyramid.
Yeah.
But to go for 6 years, almost 10 years, really, without the ability to practice takedowns or grappling is sort of like, well, that's not reality.
Yeah. Well, offensively, we learned how to grapple and, do the pressure points or wrestling techniques, as they call it. But defensively, we learned to, if they're trying to grab for those kind of,
like
parts
the collar grip or the sleeves.
So you learn how to, shove that off or, use that as leverage to get them down kind of thing.
Yeah.
But once you're surprise attack and you're in that position, I will want to learn if I'm like taken to the ground, what are my options at that point?
Yeah.
And we just never got into that. And as you see, that's the most devastating part. So once you're in that position, you're done unless you can do something.
Well, it's what you said earlier. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
And that pressure point, you may come across someone who's on PCP and they're just not reacting to it.
I was that anomaly. So I'm double jointed.
Yeah.
So in Kempo, a lot of techniques didn't work on me. So my master knew this.
You go.
So my master knew this. So every time we went to seminars where we did joint seminars, he would always recommend me to go up to a different sensei and have the sensei try their technique on me. And I guess if you're a Japanese student, you're supposed to let the senseis do their technique.
You're supposed to
not
embarrass them. Yeah.
I'm American.
Yeah.
and my sensei volunteered me. So I'm like, okay, if he's going to volunteer me, I want to showcase that these techniques don't work on everybody. So I was stubborn, and the senseis would just like be dumbfounded and like trying to do a technique on me, and I wouldn't go the way that they wanted.
To me, my biggest criticism of such thing is that, are you here to sell something or are you here to make the art effective?
Exactly. So, I mean, I wanted to showcase that, this technique doesn't work on everybody. There's people like me out there that, you need to think differently when this doesn't start.
Yeah. So in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we don't call them sensei, we call them professor. Mm-hmm. But and pretty much professors like the head coach. But even like my professor at my school is like, not everything will work. Everything works, but not all the time.
Yeah.
And so he is always adamant to say like, look, if you're going for one attack and it's not working, switch the attack. It doesn't mean that the attack is not effective. It just means it wasn't ready for that time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what keeps it honest, where you keep trying different things. You might go against someone who has less experience, but at the end of the day, that's your responsibility to impose your will on that. And that's what I think appeals a lot of people to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is because you can see it in real life. Oh, this is working. This is not working. Or this works, but I'm not doing it well enough.
Yeah.
Versus oh, it's working, but only because you're letting me. And that's always the hard part. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that was always my disappointment, is like we had to allow things to happen for it to work, kind of thing. Yeah. Not just like.
No, I mean, that double joint is a good example. Mm-hmm. That's a very good example.
All right. Next video.
10 deadliest
martial arts. Okay.
Let's see.
All right. Kung Fu.
Interesting.
Is this deadliest to least?
I would not put Taekwondo as the deadliest martial art.
Taekwondo is more of a dance to me.
Yeah. Right. Judo, I would agree. Judo is up there. Karate. It depends on what kind of karate.
Yeah.
I would not put Aikido.
Yeah. Also a dance to me.
I would Muay Thai. Yeah.
Okay.
Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. Depends.
Kendo. I mean,
I'm not too familiar
with
Kendo.
a weapon. I mean, you would think. Okay, Krav Maga. Like, what do you think of this one? Okay, Capoeira is definitely not the deadly one.
That's a dance?
It is a dance.
Okay, so
I tried watching someone be serious with Capoeira and like in a exhibition or like an actual fight. Just
okay. So if I was to go back let's start from the top again.
All right, so
Kung Fu. All right, I think someone just took literally just 10 martial arts. They know I'm on that list.
Right.
All right,
like,
my issue with
Kung Fu. What is even Kung Fu? Like,
here's my issue with Kung Fu.
Okay.
My issue with Kung Fu is I have never seen it practically work aside from compliant partners. Now, there may be some people who are really good in Kung Fu. I'm just saying that I haven't seen it work in a film where someone wants to hurt you.
Right.
That was my issue with them.
Well, Kung Fu, Shaolin monks, right? Those are the people that are most famous for using Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Like even Shaolin monks, when they do an actual exhibition where they're like, fighting against other martial arts, like say in a boxing round, they don't use Kung Fu techniques. They just resort to straight up boxing at that point.
Oh, really? Yeah. So they'll just go like resort to like punching.
So I mean, any martial arts that I see that translates to like in a boxing match or in a street fight, it always results to throwing everything out the window and just
resorting to their primal instincts.
Primal instincts are just So I don't know if that's true for everybody. Yeah. Or you just need more practice where you're like in those kind of situations more often that you can.
If you have to look far and wide for such cases, then that tells me that they are an exception to the rule and not the norm. Mm-hmm. And that makes, I never want to say that any martial art is useless. I would just say that it's not practical,
I agree.
So from what I've seen with Kung Fu, I have never seen it demonstrated to the point where I would be like, yeah, that shit works.
What makes Kung Fu Kung Fu? Because I mean, Jiu Jitsu is also obviously the grappling and the stuff like that, but Kung Fu is.
Anytime I think of Kung Fu, I think of all that horse riding stance or that crane stance or all that animal things with the hand symbol.
Yeah.
And I always wonder
the monkey, tiger. Yeah.
Because I don't want to say that those people were stupid, or maybe they were, but I want to be optimistic and say that it probably was useful in their era for whatever reason, but we are just missing the context for why it worked because it survived all these years.
Right. Well, I mean, what is the neutralizer, I guess, in today's era that wasn't.
It's weapons.
Right. So like any martial art is going to come second feet to somebody that has a gun. So, all right. So Kung Fu number 1. And Taekwondo was second.
All right, so I did Taekwondo. So my biggest issue with Taekwondo is the Olympics. If you ever watched the Olympic Taekwondo, they are playing for points. Yep. So they have, if I recall correctly, they have these sensors on their chest gear and their head gear. So every time you tap it, you get a point. Mm-hmm. Or if you tap their head, you get 3 points or whatnot. And so
it's not even by judges. It's literally a machine.
By point system, yeah.
Okay.
And so whoever has the most points win. And so
this is why
it ends up looking like they're playing tag with their feet. In Taekwondo, there's two main organizations. I think there's WTF, World Taekwondo Federation, which is what they use in the Olympics, and ITF, which is what the North Koreans use. And I can argue that ITF is more practical because they have punches to the face, they have throws, they have all these different things that would make it more complete.
Well, I'd imagine Kung Fu or Taekwondo in North Korea, like if you're learning it, you're learning it to actually use it somewhere.
Yeah.
In South Korea, it's more like a show and art. And stuff like
and so a lot of the way that Taekwondo is trained is they teach you to play Taekwondo with their hands down because it's faster to kick with your hands down with their hands up. But in what fight sense would you ever keep your hands down?
Right.
Now, Taekwondo is great for all those leg kicks like axe kicks, roundhouse kicks, back kicks, hook kicks to the face. Like, sure, I'm sure they work. But I've never seen it where if they were to go against a kickboxer or Muay Thai where they did really they fucking demolished them. Now, there are some exceptions. If you look at the old, I want to say it was the Pride. There was this really good Taekwondo guy on there who did really well. Mm-hmm. But on average, right, going back to that rule, on average, Muay Thai people would just did better. And there's a reason because it's just how they train. You know?
I mean, they don't pull punches or pull kicks when they train because they're actually in the ring or they're hitting punching bags. Taekwondo or Kempo or karate, like how often are you physically, going 100% against some other person that's, applying the same techniques back to you, or, even hitting a punching bag at that where you're not pulling your punches. Because my biggest problem with Kempo was that we would always pull all of our punches. So even in a sparring, the first thing I noticed when I did a live action sparring the first time, I pulled all my punches because that's what I was used to.
So when you say pull, do you mean you will not make contact, or you do make contact, but it's like 50%?
Both ways. But if I do make contact, it was always, I would practice not falling through my punch, but more pulling back. So punch, but pull back real quickly. So it's not a devastating hit. And that's just because we didn't want to hurt the other person. But that's what we got used to by practicing so much that way.
So, even in like boxing, Muay Thai, or MMA, when you see people sparring with each other, like let's say they're training for the upcoming fight, they never go into a full 100%. They're always going 70%. But then when they kick, they kick. When they punch, they punch. But the idea is that you're not trying to knock the guy out. You're there to train the technique. You save that for the fight.
Well, if you don't practice for that fight, then you're not going to execute in the fight either. So that's Taekwondo. All right. So let's not deadly so far as what you're saying, right?
Nah.
All right.
Judo. Okay, I like Judo. I think...
Is it deadly, though? Judo
is deadly because if you have the ability to throw people on the ground, and people wear clothes, right? Sure, if you go to the beach, but even then, if you're wearing clothes and they grab your jacket or the t-shirt or whatever you're wearing and they toss you to the ground, it hurts. And people don't know, when you get your wind knocked out of you, it sucks. Because most people don't know how to tuck their head in. And in almost my 8 years of training jiu-jitsu, or 7 or 8 years, I've only hit my head, like the back of my head, once on the floor. And that was the only time I was like, damn, like you felt that ringing. But then I've been knocked my wind out because like I wasn't prepared for it. But it's like, you kind of feel like you kind of lose breath a little bit. Yeah. So I say Judo is effective, like especially when they're on top. Yeah, they're good.
No, yeah. Once you get that leverage point in and you flip the guy over, the fight's pretty much done then. And
then they can do foot sweeps. They can just do regular hip throws. I don't know the Japanese names, but they just do so much.
But it's like one of the most effective ways to take somebody to the ground.
Yeah,
rather quickly too, without the other person realizing they're being taken to the ground.
Yeah,
because it's not like a traditional wrestling sense where you're going for their legs, you actually facing them straight on, and then next thing you know, you're on your head because the guy like came in, so use their hip leverage, and you're tumbling 360. So.
Interesting thing was that Judo, the old school Judo, they actually did teach techniques where they go for the legs, like the leg, double leg, single leg, and all those stuffs. But the Olympics decided to forbid that because to make it more dynamic, pretty much to make it more of a spectator friendly show.
Right, because if you allow that, then that's what they'll be doing mostly, and they'll look more like wrestling.
Yeah, and so they kind of were like, they always change the rules. So a lot of people feel like, they're diluting the sports because now you're not, a lot of schools don't teach it because you want to go to the Olympics. Yeah. So if you're not going to do it in the Olympics, why practice it?
True.
And so if you were to go back in the 1970s or 80s and you look at Judo, they did a lot of things differently that they don't do now just because of the rule change. But, no, you're right. It's a legit sport. That leverage, that technique, 100%.
Out of all the martial arts out there, I say Judo is probably up there for effectiveness.
Yeah.
All right. Karate or karate.
So I know there's different types of karate.
Sport, right.
I know that there is Kyoshin karate.
I think, isn't that the Ryu from Street Fighter? Isn't that his style?
Is that? I just remember Kyoshin. There was like,
I think it's like
there's
Kyoshin.
like three different types of school of karate, but there is a new organization called Karate Championship or something. They have like this pit set up, so it's not like a regular cage, it's like a slanted pit. But the funny thing about it is that even though it's karate, it just ends up looking like regular kickboxing. Yeah. It devolves back to regular throwing punch, throwing kicks.
Because all that goes out the window when you're in the middle of it, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't know if it's because they don't allow like open hand attacks like a palm strike or a karate chop or whatnot, but it's just, yeah. So, I mean, I think it can work, but I think you would have better success of finding a better school outside of it, meaning you could find Muay Thai school that's more practical and better on average than you would a karate school.
Yeah. I feel like karate is more katas, where you're just learning.
I did a lot of those with Taekwondo.
You're just going through the motion, but like a dance, or like an exercise almost.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
I mean, karate means empty-handed fighting. So I mean, you fight. You do like
it's kind of like their version of shadow boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there probably are effective techniques in it, but at the most part, like you said, it devolves into just regular kickboxing once you're in the midst of it. So, Aikido, one of them.
I mean, we talked about Aikido, but it's I say they're not a deadly martial art.
I mean, so Aikido, like some of the techniques I see that they do is like, you grab their finger and like do this like S thing, and then like they twirl around like a ballerina and you take them to the ground that way.
But it goes back to it. If they're letting them.
Sure. Yeah, that's the whole point. You it's like your opponent grabs you, and then that's all they want to do. They just want to grab you, and then but no, like nobody ever does that. If they grab you,
it doesn't.
They're also coming in to like grab your head, grab your hair.
Because if you're grabbing my wrist, I'm not going to let you stand there just do whatever you want me to do. I'm going to pull my wrist back, or maybe I'll use even your own control to go for a single, or I'll try to kind of foot trip you. Like, I'm going to do things that going to make your life difficult. I'm just not going to stand there. So no, I mean, this one's easy. Aikido's a no.
We're going to get a lot of people push back. This is their martial arts. And
you show me a video. They show me a video where Aikido works, then I will eat my own words.
Well, I want to see a video with they're in a street fight doing Aikido techniques against a guy that's just going ham on them.
Yeah, I want to see that too. Right. I have not seen that video, or maybe I didn't look hard enough.
I mean, that flip looks cool, but
Muay Thai they're tough. Yeah, you got the elbows, Muay Thai,
just like kickboxing and stuff like that.
You got they call it the 8 limbs, right? Because you got the kicks, the punch, the elbows, and the knees. Yeah. And I think what makes Muay Thai pretty cool too is they actually do a lot of clinch work. So you can trip, do foot sweeps, all those different things, and it wears down the body. So, I mean, Muay Thai. If I had to pick one too, Muay Thai is up there. I think they teach you how to, they just teach your whole body to be very conditioned, so.
Yeah, I agree. Jiu Jitsu, it's yours. So is there no striking in Jiu Jitsu at all?
No, so Jiu Jitsu is no striking. It's all the act of submission. So I love Jiu Jitsu. I think it's a great martial art. It holds true to all 3 of the rules I mentioned, which is resisting opponents, wide number of training partners, and repeatability. So I can go with today, tomorrow. The only fault that I have with Jiu-Jitsu is the lack of takedowns and the lack of pinning abilities. So a lot of people, they play the game of Jiu-Jitsu. And the game of Jiu-Jitsu is you either win by points or by submission. And so they'll do things that adhere to the sport. But so for instance, where I'm going with this is you might play Jiu-Jitsu where you might be willing to just lay on your back so that people can play the game, where they will go into your guard and you can engage them. But if I was in a fight, I would not just sit on my butt and let them come into my guard. That is a dangerous spot for me. And so some people or some schools, they focus more on the self-defense, like the Gracies, right? The Gracies will teach you how to gauge the distance, how to avoid being taken down. And if you are taken down, how to sweep them right away, how to avoid strikes, things like that. But most schools of Jiu-Jitsu, they don't really focus on that too much. They focus more on the sport aspect because it's fun. That's what people want to do. And, that's what gets the money.
Yeah.
And so that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with the sport. But I think people should kind of realize and keep true to the martial art, which is if this was a fight, you should not do this. If I got into a fight with you, I would not sit on my butt. I'm going to learn to disengage or keep my distance or take you down, and I want to be the guy on top. Yeah. So then even though I may not be striking you, I can prevent you from striking me. So that's my opinion on jiu-jitsu. If you had to pick one, it's up there with judo, Muay Thai,
wrestling, jiu-jitsu. Yep. Like, yeah, any kind of, well, yeah, I want to, if I was to learn, martial arts as a whole, jiu-jitsu will be part of it, just for the ground techniques and, submissions. But then I also want, striking, stuff when I'm not on the ground, stuff like that. Yeah. So, like, but that's what MMA is, both, hard and soft techniques. So, I mean, they all have their positivities and the negativities as well.
So if you had to pick one, the first one, what would you pick? So if you had to pick a martial art, because I know you're sort of trying to get back into it.
I mean, instead of saying MMA, which is like an all-encompass, if I had to choose one.
Because there's lots of MMA schools now.
Yeah.
But I don't know if MMA appeals to you.
I mean, it does in a sense, because it is the ultimate surviving kind of, ring.
Yeah.
Since, I mean, I already know Shorinji Kempo, which I'm confident that I wouldn't learn anything new and
beyond what you already know
for striking, at least, or at least how to throw a punch, how to throw a roundhouse, how to throw, do a side kick and stuff like that. I guess jiu-jitsu, since I'm missing that completely from my wheelhouse.
I would recommend wrestling over jiu-jitsu, but the only lacking thing is it's hard to find a school that's not in high school or colleges.
Yeah.
Because there's no, if you were to type in Yelp, like, wrestling school, there's almost none out there. And if there is one, it's usually integrated with jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So you're going to end up having to go to jiu-jitsu outside of a college or high school environment setting. Yeah. But no, if I had to pick one, I recommend wrestling over jiu-jitsu, because wrestling is just, they're tough. They're so good.
I mean, I want to get do boxing or something that will give me a different kind of aspect for hard techniques where I'm actually,
yeah. So
engage in the actual quote unquote fight. Versus
you pick boxing over kickboxing?
I'm more infatuated with boxing just because of the techniques seem to be more refined and counters and all that kind of stuff. When it's limited, it makes those limited movesets, more.
Do you think that a boxer would have so if a boxer went against someone that's experienced in Kempo, do you think on average the boxers would do better or the other way?
In a boxing setting? Or
in a fight?
Probably, just because they have more real life experiences of throwing punches and getting hit. Kempo, again, it's
so it's
more
just a lack of actual hard
real life
training.
Experience. Yeah, because even in seminars in Kempo, it's called kumite, where you're just doing set moves with other people that know what's coming and
they just go with it.
It's a dance. Okay. So, but I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, most martial arts are like that. All right, let's just power through this last three. So Kendo, another deadly technique. But I mean, Kendo, you have a weapon, which is different from every other martial arts.
So Kendo looks cool. I think I don't know too much about Kendo, but I would assume that's practical, right? Because you're training to strike with a long range weapon. I'm sure.
If you have a Kendo stick with you at all times, then sure, but
I mean, I feel like you could do the same thing with a baseball. If you know Kendo, you could do the same thing with a baseball bat
or a stick or
a broomstick or whatever. And it's I cannot imagine a situation where even if the other opponent was to block like this, you could break their forearm. I would assume.
And there are techniques to swinging a weapon effectively. I don't know if you ever seen I forget what it's called, but there's I guess martial arts on learn how to wield a samurai sword. And even then, so what they do is they slice against a wooden stick. It's usually about, thick kind of thing. Yeah. And there's people that, can cut it on one swing. Yeah. There's people that can barely get through halfway. And there's people that can cut three of them in just one swing. So it's all with the same sword. So is that
different from Kendo?
Mm-hmm. You use an actual sword in these. Oh. But the difference between people that can go through a wooden plank versus somebody that can is night and day. So there are techniques. It's like slicing, a knife through butter kind of,
I mean, I would think that in this day and age, though, it's a cool skill to have, but well, at least in America, I would feel like in America, just going to the gun range would be more practical. I mean, I guess you could say that for any martial art, but I was just thinking loud now.
Well, only in the States we're allowed to have guns. So any other, on the service level, I'm sure there's guns in every country. So,
but I mean, Kendo looks cool. I mean, weapon martial arts never appealed to me because I always thought.
I mean, I know a person that did Kendo. Yeah, he was very disciplined, very the way of the sword, I guess, kind of like thinking.
Yeah. Do they ever supplement their training with weapon martial arts like Jiu Jitsu or fighting? Like, I
mean, if you want to be a complete fighter, then you should. But Kendo is just a sport. So
so he just practices Kendo.
Yeah, just like Taekwondo, you just learn to
play foot dance.
Kick with your hands down.
You just play tag.
Yeah,
foot tag.
Yeah, but it's a very popular sport in Japan.
Yeah. All right, Krav Maga. This one's gonna be a shit show.
This is what country is this from?
Israel, yeah.
Okay, but it's a military.
Yeah, so they market it as like, oh, this is what's that special forces in Israel called?
I know what you're talking about, but
Mossad. Yeah. It's like what the Mossad uses to like train violence, right? The Krav Maga. My problem is with Krav Maga, at least how it is taught in most major schools is. And this is the same problem you mentioned is they're always pulling it back. You cannot do these quote unquote deadly techniques because you're not going to be able to repeat it for many times. Eye gouging, biting, groin attacks. I'm not saying they don't work, but I'm saying that unless you can consistently train and do it, you're not going to be able to pull it off when you have a violent actual encounter with adrenaline running, because adrenaline really fucks things up.
Yeah.
Like you're shaking, you might not be able to hit it. It's just not the same thing. And so my issue with Krav Maga, lack of actual hard training.
Well, is it because people that learn this, martial arts, they're in the military, so their first weapon of choice is going to be whatever weapon they're carrying with them, and this is if they get disabled, right? Or if their weapon gets taken with them, then this is the way of fighting.
So my issue is not because if I had to put money on it, I'm pretty sure the Israeli Mossad, whatever they called, they train differently than how it's watered down in the States. My complaint is primarily with how it's taught in the United States with all those McDojos, McDonald's really. They are taught in a way where, if you were to do these 8 steps, you can neutralize any violent thug out there. And people don't think about it. It's like, well, if you're a 120-pound woman and a guy that's 200 pounds and 6 feet tall comes up on you, good luck.
Yeah.
Very, very good luck, So this is my biggest issue with Krav Maga. I have not seen it work to a degree where I would recommend it to others. I've seen it work in a setting where they are actual professionals, but the way that they're taught in the United States, not really. So.
Gotcha. All right. And for our most deadliest martial arts, according to this list, is Capoeira.
All right. The only thing I know about this one Jamaicans. Is like, you ever play Tekken 3?
Yes.
You know that Eddie? Yeah. I really don't know where Capoeira, whatever you call it, like, I don't know where it originated. Was it
Brazil?
Brazil
or Jamaica, one of the two.
I don't know. I see it. It looks like just dancing.
I mean, it is dancing, but
just dancing.
I feel like it's a ritual, kind of like, Hawaii has the belly dancing. That gives that same kind of vibe to me, where you can just see them twirling fires in the background and like.
I see it. I don't understand why people like it so much. I mean, I guess it's kind of interesting, but
I mean, it's cool to watch. I mean, I sort of wanted to learn it just because I wanted to learn how to do a backflip.
It looks like breakdancing with extra steps.
Yeah, because I wanted to learn how to breakdance as well. So.
I mean,
if you can pull it off in a fight, then I'm sure it'll be like, ooh, But
I don't know. I'm pretty sure someone can prove me wrong, but I don't think I've ever seen it in a street fight.
I'm pretty sure I saw a clip where somebody was using capoeira techniques in a MMA fight or something, and the guy ended up making himself dizzy. The guy was just
there you go. I mean, I'm not surprised when you told me this right now. So, but yeah, no, I mean, All right.
Definitely not the deadliest, right?
It's not the deadliest. Right. I mean, of all the things to pick, that is not the deadly martial art. Yeah. So in my list, just to recap, no specific order. I would pick, if I had to pick a top 5, wrestling, Muay Thai, boxing, Jiu Jitsu. I don't want to say Judo because I feel like wrestling and Jiu Jitsu will cover it. But I think for my 5th one, if I had to pick, I don't think kickboxing is too different from Muay Thai because they're very similar.
Yeah, I always confuse the two or the techniques.
Actually, maybe it's just 4. Maybe I just need 4. Wrestling, Jiu Jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing. Yeah. Maybe there's like, I can't think of a
Well, I mean, striking between Muay Thai and boxing is just adding kicks, right? So, I mean, if you just needed 2, I guess Muay Thai will cover all your striking and then wrestling will cover all your.
Well, the other difference too is Muay Thai stance and boxing stance is a little bit different. So Muay Thai will be more, I feel like their stance is more like their feet stance is a little bit more narrow, while boxing will be a little bit more wider.
Okay.
And that's just because of the nature of the game. Because in boxing, you don't have to worry about kicks. Right. In Muay Thai, you have to, you know. So that kind of changes the game. But
kickboxing too, it's mostly fist strikes that are the more prominent attacks, right? Kicking is like
I don't really know what the big difference is between kickboxing and Muay Thai. I mean, I think the lack of knees and elbows. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I think I would just pick those 4. I'm pretty sure there's another one I'm missing, but those 4 will be my top list.
To learn if you want to survive in the real world.
Yeah.
If you want to use it.
If I only had to pick one, wrestling. I pick wrestling. Wrestling just made sense to me. And just my personal experience. Yeah. I mean, they're just tough.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, and only in the sense that I feel like I would lose if I'm taken to the ground. So I need to learn how to fight on the ground. So.
Yeah. And they, from the wrestling, if you're on top, they could do a ground and pound too, which, I mean, I would never want to be in that situation. So,
Yep. All right. So one more video. This is a Shorinji Kempo video that I found. I mean, it's just a high level guy showcasing Kempo techniques. So Kempo, like I said, it's a bunch of hard and soft, where you utilize your opponent's energy to take them off balance. And
what's soft and what's hard?
Hard is punches, kicks. And soft is your grappling.
So got it.
Non-strikes. Yeah, so let's just watch this guy, I guess, a little bit. So, yeah, so these are all the soft techniques. Utilizing his momentum. So, I mean, it looks like he's going down easily, but these are actually effective as long as your opponent is going the way that he's supposed to. It's ineffective if he, does anything slightly deviates from what you're expecting, kind of thing. So I mean, this leg technique he's doing here, I mean, it will only work if that guy doesn't kick you 100%.
Oh,
so you
I
catch
see.
it. But if he kicks you 100%, you're not going to be able to catch that foot.
Yeah.
Unless you're maybe like this guy, Master. So this guy, he used his thumb, which is a pressure point, to take him down.
It looks very similar to Aikido.
It is. So that's why if you say Aikido doesn't work, then also Kempo will have that same effect. But the difference between Aikido and Kempo, you also have hard techniques. So watch this guy. He's gonna take his foot. He caught his foot mid kick.
Yeah.
But
have you personally ever done that?
Sure, but only because I know the guy's gonna kick me right here, right there, so I can catch it. But can you really do that in the heat of the moment?
Yeah, I get it.
So that's always been my complaint, I guess, is that sure it's effective, but it's only effective if you know what to do at that exact moment. So maybe, all this training, 40 years, lifetime, since I'm only a second degree. And like I said, it takes your lifetime to get to, your highest degree, that maybe once you're there, everything becomes so natural that it can be used in practical, usage. So these are all, soft techniques, arresting. So using his shoulder, his rotator cuff, and put him to a pinning technique. So here he's just saying, so he's luring the guy into kick there, by opening his, midsection.
Yeah.
So then that's why he knows that he's going to try to kick in that spot.
Oh,
so it's
a
bunch of like the luring techniques.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, it's cool looking at it, but again, like how effective is it, right? see if he does. So this is more of the soft techniques. This is stuff I've done on you before, right? So when you do this, the pressure points make you go down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you went down rather quickly there, and that's actually, it hurts a lot.
Yeah. It did hurt. Yeah.
If you put that arm in that, that part and you bring them down, like you have to go that, otherwise you feel like your wrist is gonna break.
I feel like that would work in jiu-jitsu, but I would say that's if I had to put a percentage, like 20%, because if you catch them off guard with that wrist, you'll get it. But if I know you're a dirty wrist locker,
then he'll be punching at the same time, right? So all these rely on you he grabs you, and that's all they're doing. Yeah, like nobody's gonna fight that way.
But I mean,
they're gonna grab you and try to like hit you in the nuts, grab you and like headbutt you at the same time, all that.
I guess the logic goes, if you just need to get them once off guard, and that's enough to end the fight. Yeah.
But these are cool techniques to learn about, like learning all these pressure points, learning about all your joints, and how to all your counters and stuff like that, arm bars. Yeah.
Because we do something not similar, but there is wrist lock from standing that people will get from time to time on me. But once I know it's coming, it's kind of like, oh, not today.
Right. But then, so all these people that are Kempo masters, when you put them in a spar, I don't see any of these techniques ever.
You mean it goes out the window?
It all goes out the window, and they're just throwing regular punches, regular kicks.
Are you saying that the tried and true is the tried and true?
It is the tried and true. So, all these martial arts experts, when it comes time to use it, they're just throwing punches and kicks at that point.
I mean, it looks cool.
So Kempo, the philosophy is to always be in a one-on-one fight. So if you are, say you're being attacked by a group, you always want to have your back to a wall. So you want to actually corner yourself into a wall, so you don't have.
So you can only worry about what's in front of you.
What's going in front of you. You don't get surprise attack from behind, or you run away. This is the actual technique. You run away. You let you don't run full sprint. You run maybe 80%, and you allow the fastest guy chasing you to catch up to you, and then just take him down, and then rinse and repeat. You just keep doing that until you take down everybody at that point. But that only works in an ideal situation, or dream situation where you don't tire yourself out running that much, taking down one guy, allowing the second guy to catch up to you.
You hit a good point,
because it's a Hollywood thing.
You're assuming that your physical capabilities is greater than all four people combined.
Correct.
Or that your technique is so much greater that you're able to do that. Yeah. So that there's a lot of assumptions built into it.
A lot of assumptions, but I mean, in theory it will work, but only in theory. So
I mean, no, I don't care how good wrestling, jiu-jitsu, or whatever is. If there's multiple attackers, good luck. Yeah. Good luck.
So
that's why it's like
this is why. So all these techniques in here, you can see me being double jointed.
Yeah.
A lot of senseis will.
Are you double jointed just in the wrist or
wrist? My elbow. So a lot of these armbar techniques, the pressure point's right here, but I just don't feel pressure there when people put me in that. Yeah. So I'm always just like, what are you doing? When a sensei will put me in an arm lock. So I felt bad, but I also wanted to showcase that not everybody is.
I want to put you in an arm bar to see. Sure. All right. I want to see this.
Maybe one day on our future episode we can do our move sets on each other to see how effective it is. Yeah. So, just wanted to go over like a Kempo video as well.
So out of all the ones this expert is showing, which one is your favorite?
For soft techniques, or like a grappling one?
Any of them. Like the ones in this video at least.
So the one I like to do the most on an opponent is called the Jiu-Jitsu. It's a move where a guy grabs onto your wrists and you rotate the arm to a point where you put it into like an S shape. So their arm looks like this, and you just put down the pressure right here like that, and they just have to sit down. And once you get that person in that spot, then you can just kick them in the face.
So they'll grab your wrist, and then you'll go into an S shape, and then you'll bring them down.
So then you have your elbow in the spot, and you just bring down your elbow. And they just have to go down.
Oh, okay. Because I guess the logic goes, they'll be so intent on keeping that firm that they're not letting go. So that they're essentially locking themselves in. You actually
put your hand on their hand so they don't let go.
Oh,
so
okay.
You actually
I get it.
Encouraging them to keep holding on.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That passed
and
the
that one
vibe check.
Hurts like hell. Like I had it done to me, and I do it other, and it's the most effective armbar technique. At least I think so.
Yeah, I can see that being working. Are you double jointed in your ankles too?
That I don't know.
You want to find out?
If you could, yeah, you can try to put me in a leg hook and see if like how much I can resist.
So they would grab your wrist, and you with your other hand you would grab their wrist to hold it in place, and then you'll go into S shape to bring them down.
Correct. Or if they like do other kind of like grabbing on, you also put your hand right on their hand to make sure that they don't let go, and then you just put them in the technique.
And that puts the pressure on their wrist.
Yeah, you want to dictate their way that they're holding, so you can control their arm a little bit better.
Interesting.
And then you use their balance in order to take them at balance and use their momentum to put you in like a sweep kind of thing, so you can put them in a resting technique. Yeah. So yeah, that was a Kempo video. So
that was interesting. I mean, I saw a lot of things in there that I would have to practice, but I feel like it can work to a certain degree. But like I've said before, or how my professors say it, is everything works, but then you have to be fluid. Like you can't just be stuck on, I only want to do this move. You got to learn to go for that wrist. That's not working. Go for the elbow. That's not working. Then maybe you just got to choke the fucker around. You know what I mean? So
anything necessary right at that point. So.
Yeah. So I mean, because like you saw Musumeci go, if they're not tapping to breaking their knee, some people will not tap to their wrist being broken.
Exactly.
Yeah, they will not tap. So no, that was a good video. I like that one. No. So
all right, should we end it on this stopping point then?
We'll end it on wrist breaking today.
Wrist breaking. Right.
So that is the conclusion of our talk number three. Or
our first reaction / commentary. I mean, if there's any other reactions that people are more interested in, we can do those. But let's just see how it goes from there.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Till next time.
Next time.